So I was talking to my dad the other day um about how often he had a girlfriend when he was my age, because I heard from my aunt, and I'm lucky to come from a really big family when it comes to like parents and stuff like that. Like my dad is one of quite a few quite a few brothers and sisters. So I was talking to one of my aunts, and they were like, my dad was such a player when he was my age, or something. They said something along those lines, and this is a year ago. Maybe they told me that or something. So I was curious, and I went and asked my dad, and I was like, well, how many girlfriends did you have? Or I can't remember exactly what I asked him, but like, I asked him, how long were you single for? Like, what was the longest time that you were single for? And a few other things. Just because I was curious. I wasn't trying to pry. I wasn't trying to find out anything in particular. I was just wondering because it was interesting to me to think of my dad as someone like that, because he's been married now for probably close to 10 years now to my stepmom, and I just can't think of it in that way. You know, so much has happened in those 10 years. Effectively half my life since he got married. Um, so it's just crazy. And he was telling me that he had quite a few girlfriends, but it was never that he wanted one. It was just because he was quite an insecure person, growing up in a household full of people. You know, when you're living with a brother and sister, you guys don't always get along. Now, take that to the next level and have tons of brothers and sisters. And although it may sound nice to some of you, may sound terrible to the others, for him it was more of the non-nice part. It wasn't great, and people constantly made fun of each other and stuff like that, and he just wanted to get away from them. So when he was 20, he just found a girlfriend. Because there's conscription in South Africa, if you didn't know, you had to join the army. So he left the army, and then when he got up, when he was 20, he met a girl, and they just sort of lived together for, I think, 2 years. He broke up with her when he was 22 or something. And that was legitimately just to get away from his parents' house as much as possible. Which blows my mind to think about something like that, trying to get away from your parents, because I haven't had the greatest relationship with them, but I wouldn't try to live off my girlfriend at that age, at least. Um, and stuff like that. And it was because he told me that the real reason was not even the parents' house, it was because he just couldn't stand being by himself a lot. And I'm sure a lot of people can sort of relate in that when you're alone or late at night, I guess, I don't know if you guys are alone late at night. I know I am. When you're alone or just thinking about things like late at night, you start to like put yourself in this like grand position, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, things start to seem worse than they are. You start to get into like these deep thoughts if you're bored. You know what I mean? People are insecure, and it brings out the worst insecurities when you're thinking about those things. If you don't keep busy, that sort of stuff. You know, don't give yourself too much time to dwell and think about things. And for him, it was getting a girlfriend sort of fixed that. It sort of stabilized his life somewhat, because he didn't have to be alone with those thoughts, because he was an insecure person as a kid. And I sort of completely relate with that, because I had a girlfriend, well, I had several girlfriends throughout my life, but I pretty much had a girlfriend from 14 to 20. For about 6 years, I had girlfriends. I was single for maybe 4 months at a time. I hated being alone. Um, I actually couldn't stand it. I hated being by myself. It sucked. And those thoughts that my dad had, it was this amazing moment. Like everyone in life has this realization when they're like, my parents are people too. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you fought with your parents and stuff like that, but that moment when you realize like, shit, they're humans too. It's a big deal. And although I would be lying if I said I hadn't had some of those moments already. This was the biggest one to me, because, you know, suddenly my dad was sort of on my level. He was telling me that when he was a child, he had lots of insecurities. He struggled, and he wanted to become a better person because of it. And he did eventually become a better person, but not before the age of like 25, I would guess. I don't actually know, but not in his 20s, pretty much. And that's super interesting to me, because having a girlfriend is a way to keep busy. it is a way to waste time. Well, not waste time, but to spend time. It is a way to fend off things you don't want to think about, you know? And my dad totally used that in the right way, in that he spent a lot of time with someone he really enjoyed spending time with, so that he didn't want to, that he didn't have to spend time with someone he didn't enjoy it with, which was himself. So I'm not sure if anyone watching this can relate to that or anything. But I get a lot of people telling me, like during the streams, a few of the AMA questions, some people on Twitter, on Discord, whatever you use, saying like, how are you not nervous in front of the camera and showing off insecurities and stuff like that. And, you know, you do get deep questions every now and then. They're not common. They're not common at all, because some people just don't think about it. Some people think it's really easy to just, oh, YouTubers have it so easy. They just record themselves playing games for 5 minutes and then put it on YouTube, you know. And the answer is that you just sort of don't. You just try not to think about insecurities and things that you don't want to show off. YouTube as a whole, if you don't stream, is very easy to only show the things you want to show. And you can. And in fact, there were lots of things that I put up on YouTube that I've taken down now because I wasn't happy with them. Like, my channel actually dates back to 2012. I was putting up videos. I was doing Gary's mod machinimas and other stupid shit like that. And if I could get those videos back, I would. But at the same time, I'm sort of glad that past me was like, no, this is just way too much. But yeah, about the girlfriends thing, I didn't want to be alone. And I could totally and 100,000,000% relate with my dad. For the first time in my life, let me just add that, because that's so true. It's something that I didn't think about. It's something that people don't really comprehend. It's something that everyone experiences, but can't always can't put their thoughts into words. You know, there's a whole lot of other facets that I'm sure you right now, the person I'm chatting to, and a lot of other people can probably totally relate to that too, you know, in that, oh, well, that's right, I've felt this way before, I know what he's talking about, I know, you know, the insecurities get to you. To any YouTubers who are wanting to make a channel, you definitely should. It's helped a lot. It's helped a lot with dealing with those kinds of things. You'll never get rid of the nervousness. In fact, I'm nervous chatting right now, and when I'm streaming, I'm also nervous. I get a little bit more relaxed as the stream goes on, but I'm still nervous streaming, especially when you're streaming to like 60, 80 people. You know, that's a massive amount of people for me, and for a lot of other people. You know, you can't comprehend it very well. But yeah, you'll hear me stuttering. I don't stutter in real life at all. In fact, my speech is pretty good. I can chat without stuttering normally in most conversations. But the minute I start recording, it's like I stutter. And maybe people don't notice it, that's fine. Maybe people do, and it irritates them, that's fine too. But I notice it 100%, and that's when your insecurities come out to shine. And if I really wanted to, I could edit those out to the point where no one knew I would stutter. Even if you were looking for it, you couldn't find it because it would have been edited out. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you understand what I'm talking about? But that insecurity is there. And maybe it gives you character. I don't know. Not being able to spend time with yourself is something that I've struggled with for forever. So I went to a boys' boarding school when I was 14. I also got a girlfriend when I was about to turn 15. I had my first girlfriend, first proper one. I was never alone. And I grew up in a big family. I have lots of sisters. I also babysat my sister every weekend, because I have a baby sister who, if you watch some of the second channel stuff, you'll have seen her. I was never alone, ever, until this year, pretty much. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that I didn't have to face it earlier, but I'm so grateful that I'm at the point where I can deal with it, and I'm forced to deal with it. You know what I mean? And eventually I will talk about the Tinder dates that I've been on and stuff like that. I do want to get into it. I just don't know how I'm going to do it without showing off pictures and conversations, because that's just wrong, you know? But learning how to cope with that sort of thing has been such a learning experience, and I'm so happy that my dad told me this story, because I could relate to it 100%, and I could just understand, like, you dealt with it when you were 25, or 22, or whatever age he was, but it wasn't in his teens, it was in the late 20s. And he dealt with it, and he couldn't before, so he became a better person because of it. And you can do that. Anyone here can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's the coolest thing, is that it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And that's the coolest thing, you know? Yeah. That it's just such a that's the humanizing experience that I was talking about, when your dad or mom just they lower themselves a little bit and they accept, like, oh, they're people. They're people too. They have needs and wants. They have experiences. You know, your dad or mom or grandma, if she's still around, like grandmother, if any of these people are still in your life, they are a walking bundle of memories and experiences and learning memories and experiences that you can suck off of. Pretty much, you can sap it off them, and you can possibly, you could be like the most ignorant, stubborn person ever, not give a shit, and that's totally fine. But just hearing that story and then relating to it. So, for example, if I tell you the word sustenance, it's the sounds of leaves rustling in the wind. You might not remember that word, but you might be watching TV tomorrow and hear the word sustenance. And you're like, oh, that makes me think of this. It's that sort of thing, you know. And I'm not trying to become a motivational speaker. I'm not. I'm just saying that if someone as insane, if someone as dysfunctional as I am when it comes to people, because I'm terrible at building relationships, can understand this, then you definitely can. And everyone else watching this can. And anyone else who ever watches this and I ever speak to can. And it's awesome. So it's really good. And I had that realization in the past week. I went out on Saturday night, or was it Friday night? And I was just talking to someone, and it just made me realize, like, shit. I'll talk about the story at another time on another video, but it was just very cool. Anyways, thank you for watching.